The first day of a huge 3-month trek through the obscure parts of Europe, and I have to manage my blood sugar on airplanes. Hello, thank you for watching. This is day 1 of my big 3-month trip to Europe with diabetes. Personally, I don't like flying. Flying is terrifying, it's boring, and it's just a necessary evil about traveling. Especially when you're traveling like I did from Osaka, Japan to Stockholm, Sweden, where the trip starts. So today was basically a big long day of boring flying and trying to handle my blood sugars in those flights, which is never easy. When I fly, my blood sugars are always over 300. I don't know exactly why. It's a combination, I think, of the weird sleep schedules, the food on board, which I like, but I don't know how to figure out the carbohydrates for, and the lack of exercise and the general stress of flying. So the plan today was 2 flights, one from Osaka to Beijing, China, and then the long flight from Beijing all the way to Stockholm. So I left the house in Osaka at 5 o'clock in the morning, took a shuttle bus to the airport, said goodbye to the weird but known quantity of Osaka, Japan, to head off to Scandinavia and weird Europe, which I don't know anything about. So on the first flight from Osaka to Beijing, I took my first shot and I had to guess how much insulin to take, which is always really hard. Airports always pride themselves on their grandiosity, their bigness, their amenities, I guess. There's all kinds of like lounges for, I don't know, business travelers or whoever. I never really understand that. I don't like airports because I don't like flying, I guess. So I'm never really overwhelmed by the spectacle of the glass and the metal and the interesting lines and the kind of corporate type art they have everywhere. I just want a little chair to sit in. And the airport in Beijing, although it's a spectacle, does have some free chairs to lounge in. And while I was here waiting for the flight to Stockholm, I did my first check of the trip, and a little bit high, 224. So I took a little Humalog shot, and once aboard the airplane to Stockholm, I checked again and was down to 180. So better, and hey, none over 300 so far this whole trip. Another meal came, and another difficult choice to make, how to choose Humalog for this meal after no sleep and after no exercise all day. But I will say that with a window seat, it's really nice to look outside and see the frozen wherever we are. I don't know where this was, maybe Russia. You fly over these amazing places. The map on your screen just shows you all these interesting destinations that are just right there within reach. They make the exotic seem very, very attainable. It's really cool. I love this part of flying. Look at all the places you can go. Hours later, after trying and failing to sleep very well, it was mealtime again. I checked again. Blood sugar, 298. The worst one so far, but not 300. The meal was noodles, which is extremely hard to figure out. Well, we finally arrived in Stockholm. We were tired. It had been a long day. My blood sugars had not been great. Now, of course, we were a little bit too tired to really notice much about the Stockholm airport. But there is a big wall full of local heroes that welcome you to Stockholm when you arrive. And one of the panels was Roxette. Not just a minor 1980s music memory, but apparently big national heroes in Sweden. This also gives me my first opportunity to pronounce a foreign word. The bus company that took us from the airport to the city center was called Flygbussarna. Maybe. This guy knows how to say it.
Buss här på flygbussarna.
Anyway, we got to the city center. We still had about a half-hour walk to our hostel, which is called Onedin Hostel, which is actually a real boat floating in the harbor off of Old Town. We were both exhausted. Masayo immediately fell asleep, and I checked my blood sugar for the final time today. After all the flying, it was 108. A perfect landing. But I ate a little bit of chocolate because that's all I had, because the airport lady took my juice from me. because as we all know, a small bottle of juice can start World War III, somehow. And I was afraid that I might drop low overnight and be too tired to wake up and do anything about it, so I hoped the chocolate would help. So I didn't know what was going to happen with this. How was my blood sugar going to be when I woke up the next morning? Anyway, that's tomorrow's problem. Today, the flights are over, the trip has really begun, no blood sugar's over 300 so far, and we're in Stockholm, Sweden. You can go anywhere with diabetes. A good thing and a bad thing about today. Well, the bad thing is that my blood sugar got up to 298. The best thing was that my blood sugar ended up at 108 after all this flying. I only believe things that can be proven observationally. They must be based in reality, not myth, not superstition. However, landing in Stockholm with a blood sugar of 108, a good omen is a good omen. This trip's gonna be great!